This video is going to cover willpower and self-control, and according to studies, willpower is the #1 thing people struggle with that prevents them from meeting their goals. So whether you want to stop procrastinating, get yourself to exercise more and or eat healthier, break old bad habits, manage stress, or acquire the focus you need to meet your goals, this should not just give you eye-opening stories, but also actionable steps you can take to improve yourself based on research. This will be based on the book The Willpower Instinct, written by a psychology instructor at Stanford. So let's get into it. First, to cover briefly, willpower is your ability to control attention, emotion, and desires. It's what makes you not pick up the unhealthy food or get off social media and study for the subject that you really hate. It's what helps you control your emotions, make logical decisions to help your future, and so on. And this affects most aspects of your life. Now remember, everyone struggles with temptation, distraction, addiction, and procrastination. They are not your weaknesses, but are tendencies within all of us, and at least realize that you are not alone with any of these. But people who have more willpower and improved self-control over emotions and actions are better off in almost every way. They're healthier, live longer, their relationships last longer, and they go further in their careers. And the good news is your self-control and willpower can be improved. Now, one simple thing to start out with is self-awareness. People who want to quit smoking need to understand what the first sign of a craving is and what happens up until they actually start smoking. You need to realize what makes you procrastinate, skip the gym, and so on, so you can take action on that. This seems weird, but it's been proven that most of our choices are made basically on autopilot. And this is a big one. When your mind is distracted, your impulses guide your decisions, rather than your long-term goals. As in, they did a test on college students, and when they were asked to recall something like a long number, then given a choice of foods, they were much more likely to pick the unhealthy food during that distracted time. When distracted, you will likely make decisions for short-term satisfaction rather than long-term goals. But now let's move on to the 3 easiest ways to improve your willpower, and these are exercise, sleep, and meditation. These seem simple, but for example, sleeping better has shown to help people resist the urge to eat unhealthy foods. Too little sleep creates impulse control problems and makes you more susceptible to stress and temptations. In fact, today adults are sleeping on average 2 hours less than in 1960, and some experts believe this is one of the reasons for the rise in obesity rates in the United States in that period. However, one of these 3 things is considered the wonder drug of willpower improvement. One of these, according to tests of a few dozen men and women, showed improved attention, reduced caffeine intake, people ate less junk food, they spent less time watching TV and were able to focus on work for longer, and they were even saving money more. The wonder drug was exercise. So if you don't already exercise, this is a great place to start for improving your willpower. But you may be thinking, how much do I need to do? And it's not too much. Studies show that you don't need to work out intensely for like an hour. You can go on a walk, you can do push-ups and jumping jacks in your room, you can do an intense cardio workout, you can do an intense weight workout, and so on. Most importantly, just do what you're able to. If you never exercise and all of a sudden try to go to the gym 5 days a week for an hour each, you will probably hate it and quit. Do something and work your way up if you need to. And even with meditation, it's been shown to improve a range of self-control skills because you're training your brain to focus on this task. It improves your attention, stress management, impulse control, and more. In fact, people who meditate regularly have more gray matter in their prefrontal cortex and other areas that support self-awareness. To start, you can just sit in a chair, close your eyes, and focus on breathing for 5 minutes, ignore distractions, and try not to move in that time. And doing just this once a day will improve your self-control. Now moving on to some more interesting studies, self-control is basically like a muscle. Not like your biceps or anything, but it can be strengthened and it can also wear out from use. This is huge in college students during finals week. All their efforts go towards their studies, and it's been shown they smoke more cigarettes, eat unhealthier foods, and even bike accidents on campus increase with an increase in emotional outbursts from students. Their ability to control themselves in other aspects of life diminishes. But this can be seen even more. People who try to quit smoking are more likely to binge eat unhealthy foods, and even people on a diet are more likely to cheat on their spouse. Their willpower to do one thing is used and hurts their willpower in other areas. But you will use your willpower throughout your day whether you want to or not. Simple tasks like picking food from the grocery store will use your self-control. This use throughout the day means your self-control is also highest in the morning, which is why it really helps to go to the gym and get studying done first thing if you can, like on weekends. So whether it's not yelling at someone while driving or finally clicking out of Facebook to start studying, it's all coming from the same place. They've done controlled tests where people were asked to resist sweets and ignore distractions just in order to deplete their self-control quote muscle. After these tasks, people were more likely to spend money on something they don't need and even more likely to procrastinate on what they needed to do. Now don't worry, there are ways to boost your energy levels and willpower, and the easiest way is eating properly, at least when you're hungry. When we're hungry, we begin to think short-term satisfaction rather than long-term goals. Like stockbrokers can make bad buying decisions before lunch as an example. Sugar can actually provide a short-term boost in self-control by providing you with energy, but this is not a good long-term idea as you will crash. Best things to eat include proteins, nuts and beans, high-fiber grains and cereals, and fruits and vegetables. But how do we train our self-control muscle? This is an interesting experiment they did. They asked people to control a small thing they are not used to doing. An example would be people would spend a few weeks opening doors and eating with their non-dominant hand, or simply saying yes instead of yeah. These strange things force people to focus on controlling that certain aspect of their day, and after this happened, people improved their diets, cut back on alcohol and cigarettes, people were more emotionally in control, including not feeling jealousy in a relationship, they focused more at work, and were able to resist temptation more. And this is something you can do. Controlling one small thing you don't normally focus on can help improve your self-control. More productive things you could do would be like clean a small part of your closet every day, assuming it's very messy, or keep track of your spending, or meditate for 5 minutes. Whatever it is, focusing on this will enhance your self-control muscle. Now moving on, I'll start this next section with a question. When McDonald's introduced healthy foods for the first time, sales of Big Macs skyrocketed. Now why do you think that is? And we'll answer that here. Something universal in us is that when we do good, we give ourselves permission to be bad. Maybe you eat something healthy, but then you're more likely to skip going to the gym. Or people who resist the urge to buy something unhealthy at the store will more likely eat something unhealthy later in the day. Even people who were asked to choose a type of volunteer work they'd rather do, even though they did not sign up, they were more likely to splurge on shopping because just imagining that good deed allowed them to reward themselves. This is again where self-awareness comes in. Make sure you realize this in yourself and don't fall for this trap. Also, to help this, remember why you are doing what you are doing, whether it be studying to get an A or working out for the summer. In a study, when students were asked simply to remember a time they did not give in to temptations, 70% of them took the opportunity to indulge in something like sweets or spending afterwards. Yet, when students were just asked why they resisted that urge, the indulging disappeared. The simple trick of remembering your why can change a lot. And when participants of a study were given 2 menus from McDonald's to choose from, one of the menus had a range of typical fast food items on it, like fries, burgers, chicken nuggets, and more. While the other had all that stuff, plus salad on it. And the people presented with a menu with salads on it more often picked the least healthy and most fattening foods on the menu. Why is this? Because just being given the opportunity to act on a goal like losing weight can allow us to reward ourselves. I know this seems completely illogical, and you're probably thinking there's no way you'd think that way. But studies show that people who think they are immune to this actually fall for it more, because that assumption that I could eat healthy and I wouldn't pick the unhealthy food makes them reward themselves with eating poorly. This, in my opinion, was one of the most interesting studies. Now moving on, the next section is about stress. Unfortunately, when we are under stress, we are more likely to give in to temptation of procrastinating, drinking, smoking, and so on. Students who procrastinate on a project and become stressed about finishing it will in turn procrastinate more to avoid thinking about it because they are more focused on that short-term satisfaction of just not doing work now. Your goal of just feeling better now will overpower your long-term goals. Stress points us in the wrong direction. Now, people deal with stress in many ways, but most actually don't work. According to the American Psychological Association, the most effective ways to relieve stress are exercising, praying or attending a religious practice, listening to music, reading, being with friends or family, going for a walk, meditation or yoga, and doing creative hobbies. The least effective ways include shopping, smoking, gambling, drinking, eating, playing video games, going on the internet, and binge watching TV or movies. And if you want to know why that is, the real stress relievers from above actually boost mood-enhancing brain chemicals, whereas the others don't. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the future, or future you. To put simply, we often imagine a very ideal future version of ourselves. Have you ever said that you'll start working harder next semester, or you'll start your workout routine or diet in the new year, or you'll ask out that person on a date next week? I'm willing to bet that you imagine you'll feel like doing those things all at that time. Like, I'll feel more motivated or I'll be more confident then, but you probably won't. But we picture our future selves as a totally different person who's ready for all that and has the free time and is more dedicated and so on. They've actually shown we think of our future selves as strangers. They did an experiment where they used computer animation and age progression software to create a 3D avatar of what people would look like at retirement. Participants had to answer questions about their life, such as what are your passions, while talking to a mirror. In that mirror was not their reflection though, but the 3D avatar of their future self. And they made it so that the avatar mimicked the person talking, like its mouth moved in unison with the person. After doing this experiment, the participants were given money to put aside, and the ones who talked while looking at their future self avatar put twice as much money away towards retirement because their future self was no longer a stranger in their eyes, while other people who looked at their own reflection in the mirror instead did not put as much aside. This software is not something we can all just use, so what can we do to make our future self seem more real? Well, one thing is simply imagine the future and create a future memory. As in, just imagine yourself shopping in a few weeks having finished that project you're supposed to start, as opposed to still having to do it. Or if you want a more concrete action to take, write down your future goals, like maybe 1 year or 5 year goals. Then go to futureme.org where you can email your future self at any point in the future. Write down how you'll accomplish these goals, your hopes for the future, and more. And this could make it all feel more real because now you really don't want to disappoint your future self. And I'm going to stop there. This book had many more examples and studies that you will find interesting if you enjoyed this video. And as always, the link is in the description if you want to buy it and support the channel. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.